Okay, welcome to the Pearpop Yacht on day 2 of Possible here in Miami. I'm John Matthew. I work at Pearpop, and I'm going to be moderating this panel. I'm going to pass the mic around, and we can all introduce ourselves and then get into a casual conversation.
I'm Alexis Ohanian, formerly the Reddit guy, now women's sports guy.
I'm Carmela Luzzi, and I head up brand and media at Tripadvisor.
I'm Julie Zukoff. I head up brand marketing for Lucky Strike Entertainment, so the bowling side of the business. We also have water parks and theme parks.
I'm Lindsay Doherty, and I lead global brand media for Whoop.
Hi, I'm Lauren Richmond. I'm the Marketing Director and General Manager for ITG Brands.
Awesome, thank you guys. So yeah, the first question, what do the best brand creator collaborations look like in 2026 for your brands in your point of view?
Okay, I'm going to use the icky word that all marketers hate, but I do think authenticity still matters. I really do feel like a lot of times like brands are trying a little too hard, like trying to get on every trend, try to like go viral on TikTok. I really think there's a lot of power in be like, no, that doesn't work for us. So like for what we do at Tripadvisor and what we're looking at as from like an influencer and creator flywheel is really about like, yes, travel influencers are great, but lifestyle influencers make a lot of sense for us too. And sort of we're working with a lot of partners and a lot of collaborators who we give them a brief and then we let them do their thing. And if we like the content and it works, we run it. And if we don't and it doesn't work, we don't. And I think that's like the best way to do it because we evolved a lot over the last couple of years too. We definitely started with like, this is the brief and these are the must things say, like they have to say these 5 things and they cannot say these 5. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait, this is so ad and nobody interacts with it or thinks it's real or cares. And so we've really like stripped back the brief just to be like, this is Tripadvisor, here's what we stand for, go do the thing. And that has worked a lot better for us. So it's really about like leaning into the people who understand their voice the best and their audience the best. And then we see like eventually some down funnel conversion. And that also takes a little bit of patience. You're not going to see that on day one, but we can talk about conversion later. But that's what I would say about brand collaborators is stay authentic.
I will have to agree with you. It's almost like dating, right? We kind of have to make sure that we're a great fit. And it works on both sides, right? It can't just be brands submitting briefs. I didn't submit any briefs for our creators. I got them on the phone, they got on the phone, and we decided whether or not we were going to have a conversation, what we liked about each other, how do we think it was going to work. Is it authenticity, the emotion? Those are the things that we have to connect with. Their brand is their identity. It is their bread and butter. It is what they've built their lifestyle on, and it's very important to them. Same thing on the brand side. It is also about the emotion that we have for our consumers and what we stand for. So if we're not building that relationship, if we're not dating long term, then otherwise it's just not going to work. So we have to make sure that we're in it together for a partnership.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'll add, and this isn't necessarily a counterpoint, but I think from a content perspective, one thing that I've noticed, so I'm relatively new at Whoop. I've been here for 5 months. And I think one thing that's different about our approach than other environments I've been in is that our content, whether it's coming from a creator or from our own brand social media, is incredibly polished and produced. I feel like in UGC there's often, like in this push for authenticity, a lot of like, just do it really scrappy, which I think can work. But I think sometimes too, having that content that's super polished and really beautiful and like very aesthetic while still being authentic can sort of add a little extra pop, especially for my team as we're using a lot of that content then in paid marketing. I think having that content that still feels authentic and realistic and true to the creator and true to the brand, but looks professional and looks premium is actually working really well for us.
For us, we have an interesting challenge because we're physical destinations, right? So when we show influencer content as a tour of our place, it's not really like engaging or interesting. It's like, okay, that's a nice place. But like when you start to see things that really pop or like really authentic things, like sometimes things that we don't even brief in, like we'll be like, that's great content. Can we collab with you on some future stuff? So really more natural, authentic stuff like you guys have been saying, the stuff like the trick shot. A bowling trick shot is something that engages people way more than is like, let me watch me eat these wings, right? So I think the old saying of education, either you educate or you entertain, I think is really true for us too. With AMF, a historic brand, we'll educate on bowling heritage and the oil on the lanes. With Lucky Strike, it's more about entertainment, so it's a bit more of the entertainment side of that equation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, all of that. I really liked what you were saying about creator selection and working for a brand that's very specific. Like, you're not at TripAdvisor going to only work with travel creators. We talk about that all the time at Pearpop when we work with brands who come to us. Like, for example, this isn't an exact thing, but there's a brand that's in tech, and they come to us and they say, like, okay, well, give us some tech creators. Give me 50 tech creators. It's like, well, if you're selling a tech product, what if we look at how a nurse would use that product? What about a student? What about a mother? What about a teacher? What about anyone, actually? Because we all use tech, and that's why creators are so good at what they're doing, because it's going to take your brand out of the bubble that you stay in. The next question I want to talk about kind of, I think, relates really to what you're saying at Whoop. How are you ensuring brand consistency when you're working with creators? And for you, that might look like a certain thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it comes down to creator selection. I think sort of marrying I'm using the dating analogy, but marrying the style of the creator with the style of the brand, and ensuring that the folks that you're reaching out to and the folks that you're engaging are connected to your brand identity in a way such that when they're posting it, even if it's in their own style and in their own voice and aesthetic, it still aligns with how you want to show up in the world as a brand. So I think it really comes down to selection and starting there. And then from a briefing standpoint, you know, I think the briefing is so challenging, right? Like, you do not want to make it too prescriptive, again, because you want that authenticity. Like, that's why you're retaining a creator. But you also need to give good direction such that the content meets your standards and your expectations. So it's such a delicate dance of finding the right level of detail while still allowing the right level of freedom. But again, I think that upfront alignment on your brand identity versus the creator's brand identity is so critical.
I personally really liked the way y'all handled getting banned from, was it the French, Wimbledon, Australian Open? And I thought that was a masterclass in dealing with a crisis and turning it into an opportunity, because it was such a silly ban. And I do think it's so interesting, like in building in sports, and specifically like even this track and field league that we started. Like, it is crazy to me how the traditional folks still have such a broken view of the way to actually build brand authentically. Because if I watched that whole thing unfold, and I was literally like, why don't we have real-time Whoop data coming from every one of our runners, like literally during the broadcast, so that when you're showing them, when Sha'Carri, who was here with me this morning, one of the fastest women in the world, when Sha'Carri is actually like coming out of the tunnel with the pyro and kind of just getting ready for the race, like, what does her heart rate look like in anticipation for her then actually lining up and then actually going, like, how it's crazy to me how there is still this big gap for a lot of the traditional folks in sports, when the athletes, if we do believe that creators should be giving the input and the guidance, if these athletes are creators and these athletes are saying, here is a thing that I genuinely love that I can't live without, why are you not finding more ways to integrate it? If it's not giving them an advantage, which it doesn't seem to be, cheating is cheating, but it's not like it's not like they're actually cheating. It's just data measurement. So anyway, but I will say, I think you handled that very well and got so much good energy from the broader community that was like taking that into a big win.
Cool. And a similar but slightly different question. As people who are managing brands, what approach are you taking to maintain trust in creator partnerships?
So this is a big one for us at TripAdvisor, because we were honestly like founded in trust, right? We launched 30 years ago, 25 years ago. Sorry, Viator was 30 years ago. And they, like, the whole mission was to be, it was honestly, if you think about it, like the first social media platform. It was a place where everybody went, wrote down their personal experiences. Other people trusted those people versus, like, for once, who you might consider an expert in travel. And so for us, trust is ingrained in our brand because everything is UGC. Everything is from our community of users. And so how do we make sure we keep that alignment with our creators is, again, like, it is about trusting who you work with. And sometimes we get it wrong, and you have to admit that, and you have to, like, pull back and do the right thing and, like, take the fall, I would say, almost. Because the second you lose that trust, the worse off you are. And for a brand like ours, like, that is straight up built on it, it's not something we can risk.
Well, it's a good segue, because we build trust with creators by actually partnering with travel and city review type creators. So not just people that like to come to our venue, but people that are trusted in the review space for reviewing what's good to do in their city. So that's how we build trust with our consumers, through the creator.
And I'd actually love to put you on the spot, because we talked right before we started filming about the idea of doing creator, but you're working in a regulated industry. And as far as like trust and authenticity and even creator selection, like, do you have anything you want to add there?
So working in highly regulated spaces, we're often promoting ourselves to creators. So when you work in the alcohol, beverage, and nicotine space, it is not widely adopted by everyone. So one, trust is by the federal government. So that is one in all of our attorneys. But the actual product too as well, right? So authenticity of trust with our consumers, of making sure that we're upfront, that they understand what our brand represents for them, if it's going to work for them, being open, letting them come to our facility, letting them meet our senior vice president, our CEO. Like we have to basically pitch to creators in order for them to even consider working with us. I get turned down more than I wish. So we have a small list of folks that are willing to work with us, but that means we find the right people. Right? So that means we have the right people that truly represent our brands. And so it's difficult in the space, but once we find the right ones, they do all the work for us. It's golden. It's a great match.
So now we're going to get into a little bit of AI, what everyone's been maybe waiting on. Where's AI playing a role in your marketing? That can be creator marketing or otherwise. Where is that playing a role in the funnel for you guys? You want to go first?
I can be the guinea pig. Yeah, I think that I think it's interesting, because I think that my background, I've been sort of all over the place in the marketing space, and I worked in performance marketing for a long time, and AI and machine learning and LLMs have been such a big part of performance marketing for so long now, right? It's not new to that industry to be using AI. I mean, agentic obviously is a new framework, but the idea of using machine learning to help optimize your performance media is like not a new concept. I think now working on the brand side, where we've really leaned into it is more on the operations side. So certainly there's a lot of efficiency that we can now gain through AI that we could not have utilized even 6 months ago, to be honest. And I'd also say that it's a huge lever from a creative perspective as well. In a media market that demands more and more and more from a creative POV every day, I think the ability to use AI to help develop new creatives, optimize creatives, has been a huge unlock, and is really exciting to see where that's going. But yeah, it's so interesting. I think there's some things that are very new. There's some things that I feel like are just buzzwords and are not actually new and have been around for a long time, but now are just kind of getting the attention and the spotlight, and some of that technology has been made more accessible, which is great. But yeah, I think the operational efficiency and the creative is really where we've gotten the most leverage on the brand side.
I think AI is obviously something we're all thinking about all the time, right? I'm trying to be so much more efficient constantly by using AI. In production, there are ways in, right? So yes, for sure, we can now use VO, and it's gotten really good, right? So you can kind of skip a VO process. We have ways to use AI to help us more quickly pick a track to underlay on a particular video, those kinds of things for sure. But the one thing I've noticed so far about all the AI options out there is that they work great for engineers and coders. So that was what the product was. That is who the product was built for first, right? That was their first audience. It's slower in marketing, and it's hard when you work at a product-facing company like an e-commerce platform like mine, right? There's a lot of resource that goes into product to make sure it's perfect, and so of course they're going to get a lot of that AI. And then they're like, "How come marketing isn't keeping up?" And we're trying, but this thing doesn't pump out a deck yet for me, right? And so it's starting to get a lot better, and I think we're getting a lot closer. But one sort of phrase or term I hope just starts really hitting mainstream vernacular is the human in the loop, HITL. It's starting to really make its way through AI production, custom builds. So, when you're working with the bigger tech companies, but everything still requires a bit of a human in the loop. So even when we are using certain AI or certain tracks, of course, we're saving time. We've estimated about 70-80% of production time can be cut by using some of these tools. Still requires somebody though. So I think that's the part of AI we need to embrace a little bit more. Is that yes, productivity and efficiency can go up, but effectiveness still requires a human in the loop.
Yeah, I love that. As a career creative, I I really love AI specifically for helping people like myself, people who are creative, who have a lot of ideas and want to get more done, actually do more of that. Because, I didn't get into the industry to make a deck every single day. I didn't get into the industry to do all these things, but I have to do that if I want to sell through my idea. So being able to do more, and like creators, it's just going to help them get more done, do more brand deals, get more done for your brands more efficiently. So I think that's a great use of it.
So with the addition of, AI becoming more mainstream, and now all creators are now maybe able to use it if they weren't before, does that create better intense competition? How are you using that to stand out? And what does that look like for content creators down the road in the next year?
It's a great question. I feel like everybody's using it in a different way. At Pearpop, we represent talent. We actually work with brands to work with talent who we don't represent. We're all things creator for brands. I work on the brand side, so when we work with creators, we're not seeing maybe how they use it. It's up to them. So I'm hoping it can help them get more ideas out and push more forward. So they're not spending time writing a script over and over and over and taking our edits, because we do have edits, as we all are going to have edits when we're working with creators. Hopefully they're not sitting there becoming script writers for themselves. Hopefully they're able to do that and then reinterpret it into their own voice, because that's going to help them do more and stay authentic to themselves, right? Does that answer your question? Okay, cool. The final question I want to ask you guys, and this is kind of just an open one, like, moving into 2026 and moving forward, what does the next evolution of creator marketing look like for your brands and for the industry at large?
I feel like creators at a really interesting point right now where, and with AI in social media and in the landscape, like there has never been more skepticism from a consumer point of view in terms of what they're consuming on social media. I think there also has been a building sort of mounting skepticism of creators too, candidly. So I think that's going to be a really interesting thing for brands to navigate in the coming year and beyond, is how do we ensure that partnerships do feel authentic, that they feel like they're additive to the conversation, right? Like not just authentic to the creator and to your brand, but actually contributing something that's meaningful and interesting and different to the social conversation, particularly as it's getting more and more overwhelming in terms of the volume of content, and also harder to decipher what's actually real and what's not, which is a whole nother conversation. But I think all those add pressures to the creator content and the partnership between creators and brands.
I think it's going to get a lot more experience driven. I think, it kind of became very like almost QVC-ish. We're kind of at the height of that, and brands are starting to do more and more influencer trips and experiences to show in real life how this product comes to life and bring people together through the brand versus separate videos that live online. So I think it's going to be more experience driven.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll just add to what you're saying. Like I've talked to in other panels today about the idea of like where we are in the evolution of it. Like it started off very like a substitute for traditional PR. It was awareness based, and it was held by PR companies did it, and it was just those KPIs. And then we went all the way over here, and it became QVC. And now we're hopefully in this place where marketers are understanding that I can actually help you in any point in the funnel achieve any goal that you've got in so many different ways. So it's kind of like endless, and interested to see where it goes. But thanks for sitting with me today and having this conversation. This was really fun.